What am I willing to sacrifice?
What is up, you all? We're back with another Him video. Today we're going to be talking about some of the symbolism that we see in the trailers and just in this film, the details and what we can expect with the Him movie. Before we get into it, definitely smash the like button because it definitely helps, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. So this movie follows a rookie quarterback, man, Cameron, that ends up getting injured at a combine event by a crazed fan, and then his hero, a Hall of Famer quarterback, Isaiah White, played by Marlon Wayans, ends up taking him under his wing, trying to convince him that he's helping him recover. But the whole time it's a lot of satanic things and ritualistic things going on at this temple slash training camp out in the middle of nowhere. So to get into it, one thing that I noticed was that they brought up Isaiah White's influencer's wife. Her name is Elsie, and we see that Cameron arrives to this temple, and on the left and the right of the entrance we see Isaiah White has a big picture, and then we see the wife have a big picture. So I think that it's not even just football involved. I think, you know, with the cheerleaders and everything, I think that obviously they're workers for Isaiah White and Elsie, but I think that it's going to be something where she actually is a big part of it too, like with the recruitment and things like that. We even see at a point that Cameron's actually talking to the wife, and she's saying, like, basically, I hope you just know what you're getting into. It kind of seems like she's trying to warn him without warning him. We do see a scene where she actually is like in a red room with people with masks on, so I do think she's a part of it. She's not going to be like that villain turned good guy. I don't know, maybe she would, but I just think maybe she feels bad for Cameron at a point and tries to warn him lightly. But I don't know, I think this whole thing is going to be about like body swapping, you know, reincarnation. I think that is one of those things where Isaiah White is washed up. He's a retired Hall of Famer quarterback, and he needs to get a new body. He needs to get, you know, someone that is actually a good quarterback with already a face in the game, and someone that's athletic and has a certain build. Because we see once Isaiah White meets Cameron, he tells Cameron, like, hey man, I'm a big fan. And then Cameron said, it's funny because I used to worship you as a kid. So the fact that Isaiah White was telling him, like, I'm a big fan, shows you us that we already know that Isaiah White has been watching him. He's been scouting him. He's been scoping him out. So I put two and two together. What if, you know, like I said in my previous video, if Isaiah White is responsible for that injury because he knew that injury would eventually lead him to this training camp for him to, you know, be able to take him under his wing. And I'm pretty sure if he's going around just saying it generally, like, hey, I used to worship you, I'm pretty sure he probably told some press or some coaches that Isaiah White's my favorite player. I looked up to him. Maybe he's like obsessed with him. And, you know, when it's your hero, you know, you'll listen to anything they say because you idolize them. That's why that quote on a poster, you know, never meet your heroes, is powerful, because yes, sometimes our heroes are not who they say they are. So I think it's going to just be something where Isaiah White is the one who sent the crazy fan to the combine, where Cameron ends up getting that severe head injury where we keep seeing through the trailer he has staples in his head. And the thing that's crazy about it is we see that Cameron has staples in his head, but we also see that Isaiah White has old age mark over his head. So it's like a lot of symbolism with that, because I think it's going to be something where brain surgeries or something is involved, where, you know, they're manipulating the brain or trying to do something fixing around with the brain. And I think it could just be something like Get Out similar, where maybe Isaiah White is trying to swap his mentality with his or something. We even also see that we saw like a blood transfusion pouch or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that that's going to be going inside of Cameron, because we see Cameron laying down on a bed of ice, and I definitely think it's going to be something where that was set up too, because we see that he has on a football pants, and he has these football pants on through the trailer. So I think it could be something where maybe, you know, he ends up getting a head injury, because we see through the trailer also where two helmets collide and their brains shake. So it maybe it's just something where they need to have Cameron sleep so they can manipulate him and fix around with his brain and transfer some blood into him or something like that, because this movie is obviously surrounding like sacrifice and rituals and cultish and devilish energy, and especially blood. We see a lot of blood in this trailer, from the blood pouch, from, you know, Isaiah White's eyes bleeding, and just Cameron covered up and drenched in blood as he walks out the tunnel by the cheerleaders, and he walks up to the pendulum. If y'all know what a pendulum is something obviously that's devilish. It is something that shows devilish energy. Now, one thing we see in this trailer is where Isaiah White is he's trying to manipulate Cameron to being like aggressive and similar to him, where he's making him go through all these crazy training drills, intense training drills, trying to hurt people. And he's saying, like, if it ain't no pain or violence involved, it ain't sports. So he's basically trying to make him hurt himself. And the thing that's crazy about it is we see that Cam has staples in his head already, and at a point it looks like in that training camp that he actually has his head bleeding. So I definitely think it's going to be something where, yeah, he's going to see how far he can go, how much willpower he has before he ends up trying to swap bodies. We even see that, yeah, it's some mind game stuff going on, because we see Cameron actually sees himself as a doppelganger on the ground. Looks like Isaiah White takes him like hunting or something in the middle of the desert, and he shoots like this dummy, but it ends up being a person or a doppelganger of him laughing. It's a lot of crazy devilish imagery in this trailer. We see that at a point that actually Caleb is sitting down with a group of weird people, look like they're rich or something like that, and they're having like the Last Supper, like similar to the Bible. Like, so it's definitely going to be something that is actually where this film has a lot of details, has a lot of symbolism and things like that. And we see that Cameron, he reaches out to his mom and says like something's not right. So I think right there it's like where the climax kicks up, because they're feeling that something's going on with their, you know, their child. And then we see a climax possibly where we see Isaiah White and Cameron in this red room, and he says, you know, I'm not going to just give it to you, got to take it from me. And they end up fighting. So I think that's going to be the climax. And overall, like I said, I think that the wife's going to be in on it, because she, you know, is his wife, and she actually is a big influencer from my knowledge in this movie. And we see that she's in like this red room with people with mask on. And I just think that this movie is lightly tapping into like that Illuminati topic, but it is doing it in its own way with the twist. Just like that question everybody always say, like, why do people worship you? How are you like the GOAT? Like, how are you that good? And I always remember like hearing that Reincarnation tale about Michael Jordan and my favorite player Kobe Bryant, how basically people said that Kobe Bryant was reincarnated as Michael Jordan. They said like his mannerisms was like Michael Jordan, the way he did a fadeaway was like Michael Jordan, the way he walked off the court was like Michael Jordan, the way he so it's that thing, I know y'all heard about it, that where they said Kobe was Michael Jordan. I think that's what they're tapping into, where basically Isaiah White is trying to switch bodies with Cam. He's trying to switch bodies with him, and he's a quarterback. He has the same silhouette as Isaiah White, so it's like he is trying to put his mentality in him, literally like body swap. That's why we see the blood pouch, we see the gash in the head on both of their heads. It's something going on with that, and I think it's something that's actually bigger than Isaiah White. I think it's just like a whole corporation, like an organization, and Isaiah White is just someone that's a part of it. We see a photo of Isaiah White with all 8 of his rings on, but one is like, you know, his finger is snapped. So that can mean a lot of things, like broken promises. He thought he was going to make it to that point where he made the championship, or that's where things hit the fan. That's why that finger is broken. It has no ring on it, because, you know, that's when shit probably hit the fan for him. Like, and, you know, it was this, he learned like, I'm not the same quarterback no more. I need to, you know what I'm saying, get into someone else's body. Maybe those rings, it don't show us championships from him. It shows us like he's been doing this for 8 years. He's been making sacrifices and doing rituals on rookie football players. He's been doing it with rookie football players for 8 years, and that's his championships of how many years he's been doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, because it makes sense. Think about it. If he's been sacrificing like rookie quarterbacks and stuff like that, and he's been dealing with this devil ritual energy, every football season he gets rewarded with a championship. That's the whole thing with this movie. I think it's going to be about how far are you willing to go. That's why he asks him, what are you willing to sacrifice, and all of that. And we see him putting him through these obstacles as a rookie quarterback, and seeing how much he wants and how far he's willing to go for it. So I think that, yeah, man, like this movie right here is going to be very intense. Produced by Jordan Peele, wrote by Justin Tippin. Immaculate acting by Marlon Wayans, man. This is the same guy, one of my favorite comedians from White Chicks, Above the Rim, Scary Movie, and he's in a role like this. It's crazy, man. It's actually insane to see him in a role like this. But yeah, I think it's just going to be one of those things where the whole thing is body swap, reincarnation. I think that it's going to be that. And that's why they recruited him to come to that temple. And I think that, once again, Isaiah White and his wife is the reason that Cameron ends up getting that brain injury. It was all to get him there. It was like a whole process because they knew it was going to domino. They knew that he looked up to Isaiah White and he was going to be willing to do anything to get in his shoes and, you know, talk to him. So I think it's going to be that deep. Like I said, posters we see in the rings that say SOS can mean multiple things. Save ourselves, son of Satan, servant of Satan. I think it can mean either one of those. We see at a point, hopefully, where actually Cameron is walking out of this like tunnel with the cheerleaders. He raises his hand in the air. He's drenched in blood. He's walking towards the pendulum. Maybe and it's a helmet right there. Maybe it's seeing if he's going to sacrifice himself and, you know, become the next Isaiah White and be great. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a lot of that type of stuff, man. We see him living lavish in the club at a point. We even hear a guy tell him secretively, like, run. But he looks like he was a part of the corporation, but he's secretly trying to help Cam because it's a lot going on. But yeah, man, I think that overall it's a lot of symbolism, a lot of details with this movie Him, and I cannot wait. I will be there day one, man. So with that being said, let me know what y'all think. Hit me up in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, turn on noti bells, and follow me on all my social medias at ILIKESCARY. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.